I know that free movement in the fourth dimension of space and time is a scientific dream I don't expect to find solved in a junkyard.
Hello there. As a Doctor Who fan of some vintage, it would be remiss of me not to say a few words about William Russell, or William Russell Enoch, the legendary Doctor Who actor who passed away on the 3rd of June of this year, just a couple of days ago as I'm recording this. I want to talk about him not just in terms of his work on Doctor, but in terms of his career generally. He was a terrific, if perhaps over the years underappreciated, British character actor of the type of whom I've mentioned on this channel. We don't really get so much of these days. We get a lot of TV stars and TV celebrities, but we don't get so much in the way of good jobbing actors who learn their craft on the stage and on TV and on the big screen and eventually get the big breaks and starring roles on TV, but never become huge, massive international stars, character actors of a very British tradition and a very British lineage. William Russell, of course, is known to us from his role as Ian Chesterton in Doctor Who. In the very first episode, back in November 1963, on a cold Saturday night, in the wake of the assassination of President Kennedy the day before, Doctor Who flickered onto screens and became a television legend. And it's thanks partly to his contribution in his role as Ian Chesterton, alongside Jacqueline Hill as Barbara Wright, two teachers from Coal Hill School who were intrigued by Susan Foreman, played by Caroline Ford, who seemed to have some rather extraordinary and detailed knowledge of science and history, but was pretty unaware of the modern mores of contemporary Britain. They followed her to the strange junkyard address where she apparently lived with her mysterious grandfather, played, of course, with enormous charisma by the late William Hartnell, and embarked on an adventure in space and time, an adventure that, of course, continues to this day. He was, in effect, one of the very first of the Doctor's companions. And for the next 18 months and across nearly 80 episodes, he and Barbara, well, had some high old times in time and space. And we'll talk about those later. He and Barbara were the first, alongside Susan, creating this format of this extraordinary traveller in space and time who picked up waifs and strays along the way, the curious, the inquisitive, people who travelled alongside the Doctor and became better people because of him. He and Barbara left Doctor Who in 1965, and of course it's very nice to think that he did get to come back in the show, making that brief appearance at the end of Jodie Whittaker's superb final episode, The Power of the Doctor, where he was revealed as one of the support group of ex-companions of the Doctor. It was a really nice moment that rounded off a companion who had left the series so long ago, and I believe he actually entered the Guinness Book of Records for the longest period between an appearance on TV as a character in Britain and then reappearing as that character so many years later. It's a shame that he didn't get to reach his 100th birthday, which I think would have been in November of this year, but we mourn his passing, but we celebrate his life too. 99 years, as they say, is a good old innings. But of course, his family and his friends, they feel he's lost the most. We, as admirers of his work, sit and think and contemplate quietly about the work and the life of William Russell. Born William Russell Enoch on 19th of November 1924 in Sunderland to parents Eva Compston and Alfred James Enoch, William was educated at Wolverhampton Grammar School before moving on to Oxford University, where he first became interested in acting. During his period of national service in the RAF, he started organising entertainment events, and after graduating from university, he went into repertory theatre, where so many actors of the time learned their craft. After a number of small roles in feature films in the early 60s, where he was credited both as William Russell and Russell Enoch, his first truly notable role was as the lead in The Adventures of Sir Lancelot in 1956, a lavish British adventure series shot in colour specifically for the NBC network in America. Remember, this was years before colour television made its way to the UK. It was, in fact, the first British TV show made in colour, and it ran for 30 swashbuckling episodes. Following year, he excelled as Nicholas Nickleby in a BBC adaptation of the Dickens classic. In 1961, he starred with a pre-Bond Sean Connery in Adventure Story, a TV version of the life of Alexander the Great, written by Terence Rattigan. In 1963, he appeared in 2 episodes of Jane Eyre for the BBC. But later in the year he took on the role which, perhaps inadvertently, led to him attaining a sort of TV immortality. He played Ian Chesterton, who, alongside Barbara Wright, played by Jacqueline Hill, investigated the mystery of their all-before-her-years pupil Susan Foreman, played by Caroline Ford. Their curiosity about her home life led them to a strange foggy junkyard in Totters Lane in London, and their first meeting with their tetchy grandfather, the Doctor, played by William Hartnell. Transmitted on to 23rd of November 1963, an unearthly child launched Doctor Who on an unsuspecting world, and an adventure in space and time began. Both Ian and Barbara were to leave the TARDIS and return to their own time, well, more or less, 18 months later, in June 1965, towards the end of Doctor Who's second season. If Doctor Who itself was to thrive in the years to come, William Russell's post-Who CV reads like a roadmap of the history of British TV. Subsequent years saw him in guest roles in shows such as Dr. Finley's Casebook, Breaking Point and Parkin's Patch. In 1972 he became a daytime TV heartthrob when he appeared as Tom Preston in 90 episodes of ITV soap drama Harriet's Back in Town.
Did Jane tell you I'd sold the house?
No, I haven't seen Jane for a while.
Oh, you should. Did Frank?
No, I rather lost touch with him and Helen. We had one dinner.
Oh, yes, I heard. A disaster.
They were damned unfair to Sue.
Well, she gave them unripe avocado and sardines on toast.
There are more things in life than a cordon bleu diploma.
Oh, you used to think not. The words I best remember from our marriage are, "What's for dinner?"
Just because Sue happens to be a lousy cook doesn't mean to say I'm not blissfully happy and thanking God I'm away from these suburban values where what's on the table makes or breaks the evening.
Good. I'm glad you're happy.
He later appeared in the first TV adaptation of Father Brown with Kenneth Moore, the TV mystery quiz Whodunit, hosted by Third Doctor John Pertwee, popular dramas such as The Hanged Man, The Main Chance, and ITV daytime staple Crown Court. As the 1970s wore on towards the 1980s, William Russell remained a TV mainstay, appearing in shows like Van der Valk in 1977, Disraeli in 1978, Shoestring in 1979, Play for Today and The Professionals in 1980, and later on in the 1980s, in the original Blackadder series, ITV's Robin of Sherwood, Boone starring Michael Elphick, and his final recurring role as Ted Sullivan, short-lived husband of the much-married Rita Littlewood, in 46 episodes of ITV's Coronation Street. More one-off TV appearances followed in Casualty, Heartbeat, Poirot, and it's perhaps fitting that his final TV appearances took him back to the world of Doctor Who, playing a BBC security guard in Mark Gatiss' 2013 drama on the origins of Doctor Who, An Adventure in Space and Time, and briefly reprising the role of Ian in Jodie Whittaker's Power of the Doctor in 2022. Although he made his name on the small screen, William was no stranger to the silver screen, with a string of credits that saw him appearing as the Eighth Elder in 1979 Superman with Christopher Reeve, and as Soren, a brief role in the iconic war film The Great Escape in 1963. But of course, Doctor Who fans of all ages will remember him best and forever as Ian Chesterton, the muscle to William Hartnell's irascible First Doctor. For 18 months, Ian, Barbara, Susan, and later Vicky, played by Maureen O'Brien, established, stretched, and finally broke open the format of Doctor Who, taking viewers to alien planets where they battled Daleks, Vord, Sensorites, Morocks, Zabi, the Mechanoids, and across the history of Earth, encounters with Marco Polo, Robespierre during the French Revolution, the Aztec Empire, the Saracens during the Third Crusade, and even a meeting with a comical Emperor Nero played with fruity relish by Derek Francis. It's a cliche, of course, to say that they don't make them like that anymore, but I think in William Russell's case that's definitely true. He was a fine, powerful, and as I said earlier, I think underappreciated actor. I think as he drifted into retirement, probably his earlier accomplishments might be forgotten. A lot of his shows probably no longer exist, and they haven't become part of the cultural zeitgeist of the 21st century. But we remember him. We'll always remember him. Those who met him, and I never had the chance to meet him at a convention appearance, unfortunately, but those who've met him spoke of a kind, quiet, gentle man who really appreciated what Doctor Who had brought him over the years. He was a wonderful ambassador for the series in his later years, as he and we continue to celebrate the incredible TV phenomenon that is Doctor Who. So we remember William Russell, we celebrate his life and his times and his extraordinary career, and we say farewell to someone who was there at the very beginning of it all, the very beginning of one of the greatest TV programmes ever made, a British institution and more. Rest in peace, William Russell.